of accidents. It is very shocking because as years increase, it's 2026 and technology is supposed to be a lot more advanced, but we still have accidents happening. And this causes a lot of pain to the families and also financial implication to the companies involved. It's not just, in one part of the world, it's everywhere. Singapore, Germany, India, even in UAE, in different parts of the Middle East, everywhere accidents are happening. So as a result, to tackle these if non-compliances and accidents, there have been a bunch of technological advancements that have taken place in the last couple of years. I'm sure many of you have heard of smart helmets. So helmets for location tracking, digital twins, exoskeletons. This is something very interesting. People wearing like a vest which supports the human movement. And lastly, what we do at Envisiono, basically AI cameras. So what exactly is AI? People keep saying AI, artificial intelligence all over the place. But from a technical standpoint, or simplistically, AI refers to basically replicating human intelligence. And there's two elements to AI. One is machine learning and one is deep learning. Machine learning is more like mathematics and using historical trends. And deep learning means it's learning by itself. So, next time you hear people saying AI or machine learning or deep learning, you can kind of understand that when it's machine learning, it means using historical data to improve the system. When you say deep learning, it means more creative and more of the algorithms improving the system by itself. So there's three types of use cases which most of you are familiar with. You have the voice to text, you have text analytics, and you have video analytics. Today, for the concept of the AI safety officer, I'm going to dig more into the product that we have built, which is like an AI safety co-pilot. What we do is the biggest value of a safety officer is your experience and the fact that you walk around the site and you observe what is happening. So for that to be, deployed in scale, we actually connect existing cameras to an AI box. So what we're basically doing is taking the experience and understanding of safety and using the cameras as the eyes and people on the ground, replicating like an AI safety process. So this software that we have developed analyzes all the videos coming in to generate safety findings. And as a safety officer, you have multiple functionalities. So what happens is in this platform, you're able to add new cameras. You're able to define what each camera has to look out for. For example, proximity to machines, unhooked work at height, different risks for different type of cameras. And not just that, for each camera, you can define parameters like as a safety officer, just because you take out the helmet for 1 second, it is not wrong. The worker is maybe wiping off sweat. So you can define like only after 20 seconds, then it is non-compliance. If the machine is stationary, if someone walks near a machine, it is okay. Only when the machine is moving, if the machine doesn't have a barricade, and if the person is not a banksman, then it's non-compliance. So similar to how a safety officer thinks about safety, we have replicated the software to function in the same way. And the beauty is, after all of this, cameras working full time, 24/7, any notification is sent in real time to your existing software. So in real time, you get a video snippet. You're able to attend to it immediately and ensure that it doesn't escalate into something more serious. And more importantly, you get a dashboard. So let's say you have a really big site or you have 20, 30 sites. Using this assistant, you're able to understand the safety levels in all of the site and you get a more objective manner to improve safety. And a safety officer doesn't just do inspection, right? You have many other functions. So similarly, we have also launched like an AI-enabled digital permit to work. So that's another very important tool in this whole concept. What this does is whatever permits that you're applying manually, it gets digitized. But on top of this, these digital permits will also have the camera information. So let's say you apply for a permit in zone B from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. and zone B has cameras 5 and 6. So now camera 5 and 6 will look out for that particular type of work in that permit from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. So that's another function. You can then build on top of this, perform safety patrols. You can draft SOPs automatically. So the idea is to understand what a safety officer does, what is the most repetitive and time-consuming, things of your job, and automate these functions. So some examples of what it eventually looks like: a very seamless platform to upload permits, the patrol inspection report, and conversion into SOPs, risk assessments, JSAs. All of these things are automated as well. So why are AI cameras and why is this, AI safety officer important? The idea is to detect near misses and unseen events. A lot of times only the accidents are visible, but there are many, many warnings given before the accident. So with the help of these AI cameras, you're able to pick up these near misses before accidents. And the beauty is all kinds of cameras can be deployed. And we don't need new cameras. Existing infrastructure is enough. And on top of this, we can also implement the safety assistant on drones, body cameras, GoPros, and many other, things as well. And the magic really behind the scenes is these, pre-configured safety algorithms that perform all of the analytics. Um, and what happens is behind the scenes, sorry, it's a bit laggy because I'm streaming on Zoom, but different types of algorithms are captured 24/7 by the cameras, like person on a suspended load, missing barricades, people jumping down ledges, fallen person, and even things like, let's say someone is in SOS or someone is in danger, they can look at the camera and wave at the camera. And once you wave, the system is able to pick it up. So in that way, like you're simulating a safety officer looking at all of the zones at the same time. On oil rigs, we do things like red zone monitoring, understanding how many people are in the zone, how much time they're spending in the zone, and if it can even understand if the TDS is moving or stationary. So we're able to differentiate and activate the red zone only when the TDS is moving. So with this level of analytics and understanding of safety, it becomes highly valuable for a safety team. Speeding, direction of machines, slips and trips. One of the most interesting use cases for video analytics is only falls are detected by the system. But before a fall happens, if you look at the top right-hand corner, this worker actually trips on the pipes. And these kind of trips also get picked up by the system before a fall gets reported. And more importantly, the most high-risk event, work at heights. From very far away, a camera is not able to identify if a person is working at height. So the AI can even control the camera to autonomously zoom in and double confirm that he's wearing a safety harness and is hooked onto the lifeline. So this whole process is done automatically and ensures safety at height as well. Drone inspection is performed as well. So the type of camera is anything. And from a cybersecurity perspective, we also perform with this technology, face blurring, body blurring, background blurring. So all the cybersecurity measures have been identified and resolved as well. Beyond this, as a safety assistant, the possibilities are limitless. So whatever kind of visual thing that you're looking out for, the system pretty much can identify. Of course, there will be false alarms and there will be some effort needed, but that's where identifying like a strong team that you can work with, and building it and developing it over time is important. So key benefits that we have seen is reduction in incident rates, faster response time, and a more comprehensive coverage. And I'll do a very brief product demonstration at this point of time for you to also understand how this can be used. So just sharing my screen. Over here, what happens is once you've added the cameras and configured everything, you have all of the findings over here. So for each of the finding, you'll get an image and a video clip. So you can see the video and you can observe whether this is safe or unsafe. And you can upload response plan, you can upload notes, and more importantly, you can select if it's unsafe, safe, or inaccurate. And that is the beauty. And you can search for things, you can ask for show me non-compliant observations with an excavator. And it will show you all of the things that involve an excavator. So that's the other aspect of this. And ultimately there are a lot more functionalities, but you can see it helps the whole process. And a big part of this is also how you automate the workflows. So this system also automatically generates toolbox briefings. So imagine from all of the findings that has been detected, you can also generate toolbox meetings, and these toolbox meetings can then be used to share and perform safety briefings automatically. And yeah, so that's the other thing that I wanted to share. And back to the presentation itself. So eventually, with such a tool, you're able to automate the most routine and repetitive parts of your workflow and actually use the experience and implement necessary control measures to help improve safety processes. And yeah, with that, I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. I would love to have any questions that you might have.
Abdul Qayyum will ask for question answer now.
Yeah, we'll have 5 minutes we can give. If anybody is having any question, they can, raise their hands, or they can put in the chat box as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. There's someone who has raised it. Bala sir. Yes, Bala sir.
Yes. Thank you very much, Abdul Qayyum. Thank you, Mr. Vishnu, for very quick and nice presentation covering various aspects. So you're a computer science graduate, not having safety experience, but you have come up with a very beautiful solutions. I have a couple of questions. So you mentioned about digital twins. Does your company has any experience in the digital twins in safety?
Yes, so we have we started 5 years back as we started deploying, and we started as a point solution, just this video analytics, but over time we started accumulating more functionalities. So digital twins are also part of our offerings, but we don't publicize actively. It's more of a case-to-case basis.
Yeah, so that's fine. So in case if that is the way, we can connect after that. I want to see how your company is getting into the digital twins. This is number two.
Sure.
Number two, you mentioned about one good concept that existing cameras can be programmed to the AI box, right?
Yes.
Now, whatever the solution that you have shown, more or less very, you can say very closed working, like drilling rigs, maybe some kind of warehouses, whereas. But does your company has an experience implementing these solutions on a refinery scale, having people worked in a different areas in a widespread areas?
Yes, sir. So actually, we have deployed this in refineries and large EPC projects because I didn't want to make it too sales oriented, so I didn't show all of that.
Okay.
But I can, definitely arrange a follow-up session to go through those case studies.
Okay, thank you very much. The last question. So once these cameras are sensing the unsafe behaviors or PPA non-compliance, then what we expect is it generating a kind of a signal to the dashboard or signal to the person who's supposed to continuously monitor? How to address this point?
So there is multiple layers. In general, what we do is we alarm the supervisors, and it becomes it's a mobile notification. Secondly, it sends a notification via speaker or strobe lights, if it's placed on site. And thirdly, we also have the ability to connect with the PLC itself to maybe stop the machine or interface with the tower crane, for example, or the PIV, for example, and slow down the machine, things like this. So different elements are possible, but the basic level is sending a mobile notification to the supervisor.
Yeah, that's in fact, we have been thinking about that, but we do have challenges with respect to the taking mobiles inside the facilities.
Understand, yeah. So
Yeah.
actually, in all of our deployments, mobile phones are not allowed also. So on the dashboard, there'll be like in the command room, they'll have a big screen and it'll pop up over there. So that's how they have to, that's how they get the notifications.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Kuwait chapter, for bringing a good speaker. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you. I have one
Thank
more
you, sir.
question in the chat. So just to reassure, even my dad is in a safety team, so I understand this risk. I believe that with such a tool, it doesn't replace but make your job more fun and meaningful. Things like this are making your workflows a lot more easier. So the question was, how will this impact jobs in safety? So will people lose jobs? So I believe it's opposite. I think people get a lot more fun and they do more of the experience and data-driven decision making and not the boring and repetitive and routine tasks. So I don't believe it'll be a loss of job. In fact, it'll be an enhancement of the things that the job involves. Instead of documenting, now you're taking action or thinking about strategy. So it's just bringing the level of job higher. In terms of error margin, definitely. So in AI, there is accuracy and there is sensitivity, meaning how accurate the system is or how sensitive the system is. So when it comes to safety, we focus a lot on making it very sensitive, because if something is risky, we don't want to miss it. So by making the system very sensitive, our company has reached about 98% sensitivity, but the accuracy wise, it's about 80%, 85, it's not 90 above. But that's why, if we make it too accurate, it'll start missing out potential findings. So we intentionally lower this, but we'll find a balance for each site. Each site is very unique. Yeah. And I don't know if I have time for one more question. Is one more question okay?
You can go ahead, Vishnu.
Yeah.
This would be the last question, right?
Sure. The last question is calibration and maintenance of AI system with regards to warranty. So typically, that's a great question. We take about 1 day to deploy the solution, assuming all the infrastructure is there. But it takes about 1 month for the optimization and fine tuning according to your site's activities, and then 1 or 2 more months to make it highly accurate. So the first 3 months will be high touch point and high level. We closely will work with the safety team. Beyond that, we have like a contractual obligation to ensure that the system is performing up to certain expectations. So that is how we ensure system is useful beyond. Yeah. And yes, training manual, user guides. In fact, we have a chatbot in the platform itself, which if you have any questions, you can just ask that chat assistant. So if like I generate report, etc. So all of it is within the platform itself. Thank you.
If I can ask a question, thank you, presenter Syed. That was very excellent and quite informative. Is there any chance of misuse the AI?
Misuse in what way? Like in any sense? What kind of misuse? Like people taking the images or?
I'm talking about human oversight.
Okay. Actually, it makes everybody more accountable. So when everybody is receiving these kind of findings, they are expected to do something about it. They can't just ignore and be quiet. So if anything, we have seen people responding faster and the overall culture improving in a site. They don't get complacent, they get more things to do in a way. Because now if per day we get like 10 findings or 20 findings from the camera, your safety team is expected to address all of these 20 findings. So it improves like this open reporting and transparency culture.
Then I believe there must be some policies I think you may suggest uh, in order to have a safety policy not to misuse of this and perhaps not related to productivity. Thank you. Great opportunity to learn from you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
excellent presentation and very good question and answer session. Without delay, now I'm going to be introduce our second speaker for the today's technical session. Mr. Gil Tedmer is a technology leader known for turning innovative ideas into successful products. With his deep expertise spanning executive leadership, technology, and go-to-market strategy, Mr. Gill has helped numerous organizations and entrepreneurs bring impactful solutions to market. Mr. Gill currently serves as a managing principal at TechLink and Radiant Digital Ventures, and as a technology commercialization panel member at Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab. He previously held several CTO roles across public and private sector organizations. Mr. Gill holds a master's degree in computer science from Johns Hopkins University and a bachelor degree in mechanical engineering from the Technion. Uh, Thank you very much, Mr. Gill, for come forward for our members for the very informative topic regarding tracking real-time location systems. Uh, Without delay, over to you. We are waiting for your presentation.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
will, thank you very
Are you
much.
there?
And just if you can enable me to share my screen, then I will turn on my slides.
Yes, you can share your screen.
It gives me a message that hostess is disabled.
1 minute.
Vishnu, this is where the AI can help, right?
Yes, you can go ahead with.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Everyone can see my screen?
It's coming up.
Started coming up.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you everyone and good evening thank you for inviting me to this evening of discussion and to share some insights into another aspect of health and safety. I remember earlier in my career doing different systems for government agencies, there was a saying kind of relates to the video we saw at the opening of the remarks. If there is doubt, there's no doubt. Meaning, if you already have a doubt, don't ignore it because you probably have to act on it. So that's something that I remember and use regularly throughout my career. What I would want to cover today is something about our product, but also a little bit broader about what the industry in general is looking for with this situational awareness, what we're calling real-time entity awareness and control. So it doesn't necessarily apply just to TrackLink, which is a certain product family that I'll talk about. It really applies to other systems and mainly customers, much like oil and gas, petrochem, industrial and construction environments. they have to deal with these kind of integration issues on a regular basis. So how does changing the mindset come into play over here? And then I'll end with some use cases that where our system actually performs, and you can see how that those different data streams can come in handy when customers want to actually leverage sensors, technology, etc., to monitor and improve health and safety and avoid accidents. So if we look at the overall vision, and this is a busy slide, I understand. I'm going to highlight a few things on it here so you can understand, and eventually I'll kind of summarize a statement for you that you can remember what this vision really encompasses. First of all, it cuts across multiple verticals and markets. It's not just oil and gas or just construction. We have a need in every one of these sectors. And what is really important to these customers, and I'm skipping now to the bottom end of this chart, where they're looking at technology enablement, it could be AI and advanced sensors, looking at the location of each asset and or personnel, right? High value asset, understanding the protocols they have to meet and applying them through business rules and other measures, thresholds and metrics and measures to support health and safety and environmental controls. And then when something happens, how do they react to that, and how do they perform to the best extent based on their manuals and procedures so that they can minimize or avoid larger disasters? And then this situational awareness component comes into play more as a proactive aspect. How do we avoid those situations when we know that certain thresholds are beginning to exceed a certain level? So there's an opportunity, a small time window, where you can actually go in and take some actions related to avoiding those disastrous steps that might follow. So how does that all play into an integrated system is the fact that it has to integrate and synthesize multiple data streams, multiple systems, multiple technologies for that matter. And I'm saying that customers are interested in that, and they've been working on those things in the last 5-10 years very hard. And there's some vendors also that provide software platforms and sometimes hardware platforms, but more so on the software side, that help integrate these different data streams in a more efficient and seamless fashion, as opposed to something that is more complicated, that requires a lot of software development, a lot of software testing, and it's never really stable or totally reliable. It also doesn't scale. Every customer is looking for, how do I scale this now to support more equipment, more technologies, new sensors, and still achieve the same level of quality, reliability, uptime, and decision-making as if I were in total control of this after integrating, although I did integrate different solutions over here. So this is really the essence of this overall vision. Avoid the silos. No more silos. I mean, a lot of customers for the last couple, 3 decades have had to deal with it themselves. They bought different kind of technologies. Each silo stood on its own, and they had to loosely couple or integrate between these silos sometimes. Then with the advancements in software, and I'm not even talking yet about AI, but AI definitely helps there. The advancements with the software make it a lot easier to integrate data streams, software applications between each other, databases, etc. And now we're at the next level. The next level beyond that is more of a ubiquitous type of integration, almost on the fly in real time. And AI definitely supports that 100% in terms of offering customers, in general, customers are also users of these systems, how to make their lives easier by way of managing and deploying these kind of systems, and yet offering better outcomes or impact on what they're trying to accomplish by way of mission fulfillment. So this is really the long story short about this slide, regardless of the different verticals and regardless of whether you have edge compute and AI and certain kind of sensors. It's really all about that leveraging the data and the technologies that are there in real time in order to achieve those special moments where you avoid a disaster. Going to the next slide. So a little introduction about what we have in our system so you can now see where the rubber meets the road. We have devices or tags that are offered for either high-value assets or machinery that is in motion versus personnel that are walking through the field doing their jobs at various stations or locations. And it's really an end-to-end system. These devices have communicate to a gateway and eventually reach the software, and it all happens in a seamless fashion. So the advantage for the customer in this case is they don't have to worry about another infrastructure. They just deploy this system, configure it for their users and gateways, and they don't have to deploy some additional infrastructure because of the fact that it runs on, you'll see later some more detailed information on our own proprietary RF frequency and unlicensed frequency, so that it can penetrate structures better and receive information more clearly without dependence on Wi-Fi, BLE, or 5G per se. And then still offers the right integration points to scale it. So the end result is fast communication to the software. Software can make decisions, accuracy of resolution, where the device is located within half a meter, plus minus. So it's really important to get those parameters straight so that at the control center, whether it's AI-based or human-in-the-loop based, they can make the right decisions because they know exactly where that person is located, even if it's in the elevation level, right? If I'm on a smokestack working on the 3rd level, they need to know where I am as opposed to on the ground, which would make a big difference for them when they come out to assist me. So from a bird's eye view, you can see the tags, the yellow and black tags on the right-hand side, really get their positioning if it's indoors through these beacons. And then if it's outdoors, of course, there's the satellite GPS capability to receive that information. And they transmit that to the gateway, which then communicates directly with the software for all the analytics, dashboards, alarms, alerts, mustering events, geofencing, and so forth. In addition, these badge agents, or those yellow tags that you see on the screen, can integrate other devices over Bluetooth. So it could be wearables, sensors for vitals or gas sensors, and it could be these simple tags if a particular worker in the field is chaperoning or accompanying other types of visitors. So they get these simple tags, and then as long as they stay within range of that escort, then everything is fine. But if one of those simple tags veers off, there'll be an alert mentioned that someone has got out of the safety zone, if you will, because they're not in reach of their escort. So this system scales. Another version that we have being prepared now is more having a tag with more 5G direct connect. So it of course can still receive satellite information and indoor location with beacons, but once it needs to transmit information, it can go directly to the software where your choice. It could be in the cloud, it could be on-prem. That's not the issue anymore with these kind of standard communication technologies. The previous one that I showed was more proprietary RF, and that's why we had to go through this gateway that would translate those protocol messages to TCP/IP open standards. So the other important aspect I mentioned is scaling. And here, if your facility has growth and you're expanding or adding personnel, you can just continue to add these kind of devices without having to rip out any infrastructure or replace anything. So that's an advantage also from an investment or total cost of ownership perspective. Once you validated the system, accepted it, deployed it in one of the facilities, but you have other facilities or an existing facility that expands, you can just scale it to support those additional personnel without having to reach a limit, if you will, where now the system is not as functional as you thought it would be. So all this relates not only to the fact that you can transmit data, collect data, transmit data, but also to analyze all that information, whether it's mustering zones, geofencing functions, and with the knowledge, the system knows, once it's defined, where the different mustering zones are, depending on your role, depending on where you're located, when the event occurs and a mustering event is kicked off. So all that is part of the intelligence that's in the software itself. So who are really the users and beneficiaries of something like this that has to do with health and safety tracking and real-time location? So there are various people involved more with the supervision in the field, whether it's HSE managers, supervisors, versus other folks who are more like the operational standpoint, making sure operations are running. And without having for them having separate systems, this single system can support their functions in a seamless fashion. So on the health and safety side, obviously, being proactive with worker safety, tracking the site from a compliance standpoint, and then getting the traceability and audit reports related to that, versus the operating managers who want to see where things are and are they idle, are they at the station that they're supposed to be, are things running efficiently. That's where the other aspects of this real-time location and asset tracking come into play. So one system, but can serve both of these purposes. And if we're talking about the types of health and safety related feature sets that we offer in the software, so leveraging the raw data like location and time is only one parameter, but then figuring out how to map that to your facility and defined areas of geofencing or emergency response where you have to communicate. Our devices have a bidirectional communication capability, so I can reach out with an SOS button if I am able to press it. But I also have an accelerometer in the device itself, so if I'm falling, there's a fall detection that alerts the control center. But if the control center wants to reach out to me as an individual or a group of myself and my coworkers in a certain zone, they'll be able to send a message to all of us to either take action or just to notify if we're okay. And then there's, of course, formal mustering events in certain facilities where designated zones are already declared in advance, and people train on that on a regular basis to evacuate to those zones. And even the training routines are recorded for health and safety purposes and for auditors to check that enough training was being done and the training succeeded. Otherwise, there could be issues, of course. So how to augment all that data being collected is the software side who knows how to make sense out of it, but then also these additional sensors that could integrate into our devices via Bluetooth, as I mentioned, so that you can collect even more data, not necessarily related to the RTLS or real-time location that we provide as our backbone, but things like gas levels or body vitals or things like that. So some of these benefits for all that data that's being collected lead up from the left to the right, if you will, to this overall situational awareness. And that's where that our real-time entity awareness and control vision comes into play. Of course, you know where things are located, and as I mentioned earlier, and you know that as they move around, they can go into areas that are more dangerous or less dangerous, and it's a constant read of data streams. But then when things happen, like an alarm passes a threshold, or a man down, or some other event happens, that's when you have to now trigger instructions in real time in that chaos for staff and personnel in the field to act on safely and expeditiously. And then while that is happening, you also get other data feeds, not just from that zone or those personnel, but from the rest of the facility. And overall, that feeds into your overall situational awareness of not just at the individual level, but for what's happening in your facility. I think I'll mention later also more about this, but really the whole point is to think out of the box. You cannot just rely or constrain the way you look at RTLS and real-time assessment of where high-value assets and personnel are and their condition, but really thinking out of the box. What other parameters would make sense for things like AI to consider, because they would do it more expeditiously and efficiently than any human can. And then with the human in the loop, the human will be able to see these new insights in a very impactful way. So a few use cases in oil and gas. Let's dive into it a little bit. I mentioned the mustering and the geofencing, but let's see some additional information about this. So you can track personnel, obviously indoor and outdoor. I mentioned the beacons for the indoor use mainly, and outdoor with GPS. But there could be the elevation level, whether you're on a certain floor in a building or on a certain level on a smokestack or a structure. And having to understand that could mean saving a life, because it could take a lot longer to get to a higher elevation on a structure. Knowing the location on the order of a second, within a few seconds, and within a half a meter radius is very important in some cases, especially if it's going to be a facility that has a lot of moving machinery and tight spaces. Or it also operates 24/7. It might be in the dark, or less lighting, if you will, less daylight. And then when someone falls down, and on top of that, other emergency conditions occur, such as a gas leak, such as a fire, then additional attention has to be placed on that. And that's where some of the rules or AI type of support will automatically take place. For example, if I know that I have 2 zones active with some emergency, and I need to be able to send messages to 40 or 50 personnel in the field over there, AI can already take that action in a split second without me having to intervene and slow the process down, because it'll know the conditions, it'll know what it needs to do, and it's pretty self-explanatory and safer. If there's doubt, then there's no doubt. Send the message. So that's how we can alert folks a lot faster in the field when some of those conditions conflate and become hazardous. So we have different triggers and thresholds that could be set. At the basic level, there's rules that can define some of these things and monitor them. But the situational awareness aspect is more AI-based, where now you have to really consider multiple types of data streams, not just one type, and then consider the time of day and how many people are on the shift. And had there been previous incidents, machinery-wise or gas leak-wise in those areas, all those additional information doesn't come from basic RTLS. Okay. So we've been deployed mainly in oil and gas. In some cases, there were some mining facilities that we deployed to, and logistics for air cargo. Normally, our locations where we deploy are in these harsh environments where you have to have explosion-proof devices that meet those standards, and the fact that they can work in remote locations where you might not have the best GPS signal if you're in between a lot of metal structures, or you have a lot of metal structures that traditional Wi-Fi or BLE or those kind of LoRaWAN, etc., cannot penetrate or don't penetrate that well. And then with our RF solution, you have the ability to actually get your decent signal and get the response on the location within seconds. So that's basically it. I wanted to make sure that I could cover not only the product, but more of the broader view of the fact that all these elements, whether they're called mustering or geofencing in other industries, is not the critical part. All these industries are interested in very similar type of needs. And that's that horizontal that we're trying to address with our vision, and really the ability to think out of the box and show each one of those customer bases or verticals that leveraging other seemingly unrelated data streams synthesized with the existing telemetry that's being received to give them a better picture on their situational awareness. And that's it. I will open up to questions, of course. I wasn't checking the chat in case any questions were there. Let me see here.
Is there any question? Okay, Bala sir is having a question. Yes, Bala sir, can go ahead.
Thank you, Abdul. Thank you, Mr. Gill, for a good session. I just wanted to ask that question about, so is it expected that all the workers who are getting into the refinery or facility should wear these devices?
Yeah, in the customer deployments that we have, normally these workers are instrumented in more than one device, and that's where this silo issue that I mentioned earlier. There might be a need for gas sensors, and then there's a need for tracking, and each comes from a different vendor. Short answer is yes, they sometimes wear a couple different tags, if you will, on their apron or on their harness. But our solution works in that sense also. It has to be worn on, much like with an asset tag. I would attach the asset tag to the forklift or to the mobile generator or even a stationary system. And a reason to attach an asset tag to a stationary system would be by the fact that we can collect sensor data from that system, whether it's fuel level, pressure, temperature, and be able to transmit that back.
Okay, thank you. Is it that the tag is a chargeable tag or what?
Yes.
Chargeable in the sense, is it to be recharged for every how many hours?
Yeah, the tags are rechargeable, and they are good for, on average, 12 hours. If we change the frequency on how often you ping it or how often it has to send information, it could go longer, maybe 18 hours. But normally it's designed to support a shift, so that at the end of the shift, the worker goes back to the center and then put it in the charging station.
Okay. So how big the tag is?
Oh, it's
physically?
physically, it's like probably smaller than a regular iPhone today. It's a little thicker, maybe it's half-inch thick. But as far as length and width, it's just like smaller than a cell phone.
So I'm sure that you might be knowing about a buddy system that we usually do in oil and gas. Does your system replaces the buddy system, or both should be same it is?
Well, you might say buddy system, meaning literally someone actually with another person, and they go together,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And
Correct. Yeah.
but you don't necessarily at the control center, you don't necessarily know where they are. They know, or they think they know where they are, but you don't know for sure. We're talking about the relevance of the telemetry that you get in addition to what is happening in the field, right? That's where things like Vishnu was presenting with the cameras are important, because it's easy to transmit the video feeds and the imagery to the control center. And now with AI looking at it and telling you in advance, filtering through all the not relevant information and only pulling out the 2, 3 things that are important to look at, is what gives you additional information to what's happening in the field. Same thing with these real-time location systems. They will give you other sensor data and the actual true picture of where things are in the field.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Rohit, as well. Thank you, Kuwait chapter. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Gill. If I may ask you, thank you for that wonderful presentation. Over-reliance on AI by managers, eventually we all will. Do you think that eventually we have a negative impact on, if the system fails, negative impact on our vigilance? What are your thoughts on it? Thank you.
Well, there could be different kinds of failures for sure, and that's why AI is not totally trusted and embraced. It's the same mantra that I mentioned earlier. If there's doubt, there's no doubt, right? So if you have doubt about AI, you're not going to trust it fully yet. You're using it as a tool to enhance what you can do as the human in the loop to take action. So some things are administrative, let's call it, and simple, and it's okay for AI to automate that and do it, like sending out a message because a certain zone is under fire and everyone needs to get a message quickly. That would be a simple example of that. But then taking more and analyzing more data, let's say the health records of each one of those employees in the field, and determining which one has asthma, and determining whether that person has to be evacuated first and foremost. Yeah, that's where the complexity of the decision making that we empower AI to do could turn out to be not always successful because of other things that it's taking into account. So the models will get fine-tuned and improve, and I think they need to be very contextual based on your environment and your data sets and what it learns from your system. A collective term, I use system, but it's all your systems, activities, patterns, and data. It can't be something that you leverage from a centralized LLM that doesn't have your context. It has to be built on your context, and it might take some time to get smarter.
Yes, I do agree with it. Thank you. And the second question is, Mr. Gill, how much we can rely on the potential threats usually in terms of muster counts, head counts, and people goes in a mass crowd. Suddenly there is a bomb threat, for example, some mock or havoc call has been received, and how effective it is integrating with the AI.
Well, there are many things that AI can help in those kind of situations, because what you described, that scenario that you described, is something where a lot of pressure is going to happen. When I say pressure, a lot of different needs are going to be required in a very short window. And AI can help sift through those things, filter through those things, categorize those things. And I might give a couple examples in a second, and then allow different actions to take place in parallel. So for example, if in that large crowd, if some people have to go to a different zone to relieve the pressure, they might be able to guide some of that with message or contacting these people. If it's a system like ours where you can have the bidirectional communication. So that's one example. leveraging AI to speed up some critical decision making that is not life-threatening per se, but a human wouldn't be able to get all that information and make those kind of decisions. There's also software today that does that assesses your health condition based on a photo of your face. I think there's more than one company that is doing that today, and part of our efforts at Radiant and TrackLink is also looking at other startups that we invest in. But I thought that was very interesting how they determine these kind of things. So going back to the crowd that is moving towards a mustering area because of a bomb threat, let's say, then some people get more anxious than others. Some people might have a heart attack even if they get too anxious. You could probably determine that from their having a good image of their face, frontal view, and maybe make decisions based on that also, which person and in which area of the crowd are they, to get to them first, even before they have a heart attack.
Yes, we believe that would eventually be helpful to everybody. And I'm expecting in the future, maybe we don't know, like hantavirus, pandemic, we all faced it. Perhaps from miles, we will detect the virus and maybe people will be protected with this, intervention. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. There is another question in the chat box. Is the system can work standalone or it will be cloud-based? From
It can
Mr.
work.
Pravesh.
Yeah. It can work standalone. We have some deployments where the end-to-end system is all in one site, so it doesn't have to go to the cloud. We don't have any hosted software as a service, so it's all you, the customer. It's your system, and all the devices communicate with the software, and you can decide to deploy it to your private cloud, but it's not our cloud.
Thank you. Any other questions? We have 1 minute. So, okay. So, as a conclusion, I would like to thank both the speakers, Mr. Vishnu Saran and Mr. Gil Padmore, for the detailed, fruitful, and informative presentations, which we can say are the need of the hour, as the transformation of technology, which is beyond the clipboard, the future of real-time safety in oil and gas, which reflects our today's presentation topic name. So both the topics has been covered beautifully, and complete information on NVDLO AI, a digital safety officer, and TrackLink real-time location system. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm coming forward to present these two topics. And at the same time, we would like to thank Raja Company for always be there for us, for the chapter to support any time. We would like to have many more collaborations in the days to come from Raja Company. So at the same time, we have another announcement before moving further. As we used to celebrate the achievements of our members in the chapter, as we are a family kind of ASSP Kuwait chapter. So we have a sad news of demise of Mr. Omar Al Sadi, who is our core member of ASSP Kuwait chapter. In favor of that sad news, I would like to request a off-minute silence for as a condolence to Mr. Omar Al Sadi. Thank you. Actually, yesterday only we have received this news. It is with a heavy heart that we share this news of passing of our member, Mr. Omar. He was a valued member of our community and will be deeply missed. Our thoughts and prayers are with his and family during this incredibly painful time. Thank you. So moving forward, our felicitation of our two speakers. Qayyum. So please accept our token of appreciation, Mr. Vishnu Saram from ASSP Kuwait chapter for today's presentation. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Gil Tadmore, please accept our token of appreciation
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
today's presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a feedback, a link you can say. You can provide your feedback by scanning the QR code, which is showing on the screen. We have a minute. Meanwhile, any of our member of the chapter wanted to share anything or expecting anything from ASSP Kuwait chapter to have a different topic or something, or you're willing to present something, if you are a good speaker, you can contact our chapter office, chapter admin. Mr. Qayyum, we have any other announcements?
That's pretty much, Faisal. We're done for the day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to thank all the participants, though it was a weekend, for your active participants. Around 50 plus members got benefited with today's technical meet. For your information, all technical sessions live on YouTube. You can watch them whenever you want. So with this, we are signing off. Thank you very much once again. Thank you to both the speakers. Let's meet in other technical sessions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a
both
good
the
evening.
speakers.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you and good evening.